Deploying applets and applications. Introduction. The following topics are discussed in this chapter. Applet basics. Applet HTML tags and attributes. Multimedia. The applet context. Inter-applet communication and displaying items in the browser. Java Web Start. The sandbox, sign code and the JNLP API. Storage of application preferences. Property maps and preferences API. Applet basics. Applets are Java programs. These Java programs are included in an HTML page. The HTML page must tell the browser which applets to load and where to put each applet on the web page. The tag needed to use an applet must tell the browser where to get the class files and how the applet is positioned on the web page. The browser then retrieves the class files from the internet and automatically runs the applet. A simple applet. An applet is simply a Java class that extends the java.applet.applet class. All of our applets will extend the applet class, the superclass for all applets. To execute the applet, the following two steps to be followed. Compile your Java source files into class files. Create an HTML file that conveys the browser which class file to be loaded first and how to size the applet. Here are the contents of an example file. Applet code equal to hello world applet, width equal to 100 and height equal to 100. Applet tag close. To use the applet viewer with our example, enter the following on the command line. Applet viewer space hello world applet dot html. If your HTML file contains multiple applet tags, the applet viewer pops up multiple windows. To properly view the applet, simply load the HTML file into the browser. The applet HTML tag and its attributes. Example applet. Applet code equal to applet slash hello world dot class, width equal to 300, height equal to 100. The code attribute gives the name of the class file and include the dot class extension. The width and height attributes size the window that will hold the applet. A matching applet tag that marks the end of the HTML tagging needed for an applet. The text between the applet and applet end tag is displayed only if the browser cannot show applets. The code width and height attributes are required. If anything is missing, the browser cannot load your applet. You can use the following attributes within the applet tag. Width, height. These attributes are required. It gives the width and height of the applet measured in pixels. Align. This attribute specifies the alignment of the applet. The attribute values are the same as for the align attribute of the HTML image tag. V space, H space. These optional attributes specify the number of pixels above and below the applet in bracket V space and on each side of the applet in bracket H space. Code. This attribute gives the name of the applet's class file. This name is taken relative to the code base or relative to the current page if the code base is not specified. The path name must match the package of the applet class. Code base. This optional attribute is a URL for locating the class files. You can use an absolute URL even to a different server. Archive. This optional attribute lists the jar file or files containing classes and other resources for the applet. These files are drawn from the web server before the applet is loaded. This technique speeds up the loading process significantly because only one HTTP request is necessary to load a jar file containing many smaller files. The jar files are separated by comma. Object. This tag lets you specify the name of a file that contains the serialized applet object. When you use this attribute, the init method is not called, but the applet start method is called. Before serializing an applet object, you should call its stop method. Name. To access an applet from JavaScript, essentially a name has to be given. You can then refer to the object as document.applets.appletName. The name attribute is also essential when you want two applets on the same page to communicate with each other directly. Applet code equal to myapplet.class, width equal to 100, height equal to 150, name equal to mine. Applet end tag. Alt. Java may be deactivated in the browser, perhaps by a paranoid system administrator. You can then use the alt attribute to display a message to the user. Unless browser can process applets at all, it ignores the unknown applet and param tags. All text between the applet and the end applet tag is displayed by the browser. Applet code equal to myapplet.class, width equal to 100 and height equal to 150. Alt equal to, if you activated Java, you would see my applet here. Multimedia. Applets can handle multimedia objects like images and audio. Images must be in GIF, PNG or JPEG form. Audio files such as AU, AIFF, WAV, or MIDI, MIDI. Animated GIFs are supported and then animation is displayed. Specify the locations of image and audio files with relative URLs. The base URL is usually obtained by calling the getDocumentBase or getCodeBase method. The former gets the URL of the HTML page in which the applet is contained. The latter the URL of the applet's codebase directory. Give the base URL and the file location to the getImage or getAudioClip method. For example, image CAT equal to getImage of getCodebase, images/cat.gif. Audio clip meow equal to getAudioClip of getCodebase, audio/meow.au. To play an audio clip, simply invoke its play method. Play of getCodebase, audio/meow.au. The applet context. An applet calls the getAppletContext method to communicate with the browser. It returns an object that implements an interface of type applet context. Inter-applet communication. If a web page contains multiple applets of the same codebase, intercommunication among each applets is very easily taken place. You can use the getApplet method of the applet context interface to get a reference to the applet. For example, if your HTML file contains the tag applet code equal to chart.class, width equal to 100, height equal to 100, name equal to chart1. Then the following call gives you a reference to the applet. Applet chart1 equal to getAppletContext.getApplet of chart1. You can also list all applets on a web page, whether or not they have a name attribute. The getApplets method returns an enumeration object. Enumeration applet tag equal to getAppletContext.getApplets of. While e dot has more elements of open bracket, applet equal to a, repeat, applet a equal to e dot next element of system.out.println of a dot getClass.getName of bracket closed. Displaying items in the browser. You have access to two areas of the ambient browser, which are the status line and the web page display area. Both use methods of the applet context interface. You can display a string in the status line at the bottom of the browser with the show status message. For example, show status of loading data, please wait. You can tell the browser to show a different web page with the show document method. URL u equal to new URL of http://hostman.com/index.html. GetAppletContext.showDocument of u. Opening of a new window with the document by the browser depends on the supplying the special string underscore blank. Java Web Start. Java Web Start is coined to term a technology for delivering applications over the internet. Java Web Start applications show the following salient features. They are typically delivered through a browser. Once a Java Web Start application has been downloaded, it can be started without using a browser. They do not exist inside a browser window. That application is displayed in its own frame outside the browser. They do not use the Java implementation of the browser. The browser simply launches an external application whenever it loads a Java Web Start application descriptor. That is the same mechanism used to launch other helper applications such as Adobe Acrobat or Real Audio. Digitally signed applications can be given arbitrary access rights on the local machine. Unsigned applications run in a sandbox, which prohibits potentially dangerous operations. To prepare an application for delivering Java Web Start, pack it in one or more jar files. Prepare a descriptor file in the Java Network Launch Protocol format. Place these files on a web server. Ensure that your web server reports a MIME type of application /x-java-jnlp file for files with extension .jnlp. To use Java Web Start to deliver the calculator application, follow the following steps. Compile the program. Java C-class path/2/javaws.jar webstart/star.java. Produce a jar file with the following command. Prepare the launch file calculator.jnlp with the following contents. If you use Tomcat, make a directory tomcat/webapps/calculator where Tomcat is the base directory of your Tomcat installation. Make a subdirectory tomcat/webapps/calculator/webinf and place the following minimal web.xml file inside the web-inf subdirectory. Place the jar file and the launch file on your web server so that URL matches the code base entry in the JNLP file. If you use Tomcat, put them into the tomcat/webapps/calculator directory. Make sure that your browser has been configured for Java Web Start by checking that the application /x-java-jnlp-file MIME type is associated with the Java WS application. Start Tomcat. Point your browser to the JNL file. For example, if you use Tomcat, go to http://localhost:/calculator/calculator.jnlp. You should see the launch window for Java Web Start. Soon afterward, the calculator should come up with a border making it as a Java application. When you access the JNLP file again, the application is retrieved from the cache. You can review the cache content by using the Java plugin control panel. The sandbox. Security Manager checks access to all system resources. By default, it only allows those operations that are harmless. The code must be digitally signed and the user must consent for signing certificate to allow additional operation. The restricted execution environment is often called the sandbox. Code that plays in the sandbox cannot alter the user system or spy on it. Programs in the sandbox are restricted with the following. They can never run any local executable program. They cannot read from or write to the local computer's file system. Finding out any information about the local computer is not certainly possible, except for the Java version used and a few harmless operating system details. Interiorly, loaded programs need user consent to communicate with any host other than the server from which they were downloaded. That server is called the originating host. A warning message carried by pop-up window is a security feature to ensure that users do not mistake the window for a local application. Sign code. The sandbox restrictions are very restrictive that it cannot be used in many situations. An application can simply request to have all permissions of a desktop application, and quite a few Java Web Start applications do just that. This is accomplished by adding the following tags to the JNLP file. Security, all permissions, security. Jar files of a Java Web Start application must be digitally signed if one wants to run outside the sandbox. Carrying the jar file, a signed certificate indicates the identity of the signer. Cryptographic techniques ensures that such a certificate cannot be forged and that any effort to tamper with the signed file will be detected. The JNLP API. The JNLP API allows unsigned applications to run in the sandbox and at the same time access local resources in a secure way. The API provides the following services: loading and saving files, accessing the clipboard, printing, downloading a file, displaying a document in the default browser, storing and retrieving persistent configuration information, and ensuring that only a single instance of an application executes. To access a service, use a service manager like this: file save service, service equal to bracket file save service, service manager dot lookup bracket javax dot jnlp dot file save service. Non-availability of service leads to the call throwing an unavailable service exception. To save a file, one need to provide suggestion for the initial path name and file extension for the file dialog, the data to be saved and suggested file name. For example, service.save file dialog of dot new string array text data calc dot text